Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
You know what? I'm excited, Elise. You want to know why?
Why?
We're welcoming back probably one of our most favorite guests on the show. A returning guest on the Biofriendly Podcast. I couldn't be more thrilled.
For the second week in a row.
Noel Carroll, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come back on the show today. We're so grateful to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just powering down my phone because I don't want it to ring in the middle of this prestigious podcast that you and Elise host.
Yeah, I know. It's really, the audience thought we were kidding when we kicked you off last time.
He's not coming back.
He's never coming back.
Man.
He's gone forever.
I'm sorry to the fans of the show who are wondering why it is that Noel's never in studio anymore.
Yeah.
Partly it's because I have to travel a lot more these days.
That's true.
Partly it's because of I don't have COVID.
No.
I don't have COVID. But there was a
Concern.
As far as I know, nobody has COVID.
Yes.
But the world that we live in now means that you have to be careful because you don't want to go passing it around to people who don't. So basically, my kid, he's got like a very mild cold.
Sniffles.
Honestly, it's the kind of thing that in the old days you'd be like, "Hey, it's fine." You know, backpack on him and send him to school. But now, you're like, I don't know. I guess we got to we got to follow the rules, right? You look at the guidelines, and it says be careful. So he took a test, and we're not going to. We did it through the school, and it's like it's not like a quick response one. Yeah. It's a more thorough test. So we'll hear about that soon. So at the moment, we're just acting like hey, I'm going to virtue signal.
Okay, do it. This show's all about that.
I'm a vaccinated individual, so I'm highly unconcerned with what's going on. No, and maybe I'd be a breakthrough case. I don't know. But the point is like, this is what you're supposed to do. So
absolutely,
I'm working from home and being safe. And so my whole family's home. Like we're all, it's funny because right now we all feel kind of totally fine.
Yeah.
But we're just taking the day off.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I know. It's, I was talking to Jamie about it, and I was saying it's funny because, before this, like we ever since we were kids, right? You don't feel well, and you tell your parents, and unless something's really bad, your parents are like, suck it up.
Go to school.
You're going to school. I don't care unless you've got to be
dying?
half dead in order for me to keep you home. I mean, this has been around forever. And I said, for the first time in history, children can say to their parents, I kind of feel a little scratchy in my throat. And we are required for the well-being of the communities we live in to go, well, dadgummit. I guess we got to all stay home.
Well, the thing about it that's so funny is because of the nature of the disease and the times, it's not just that the kid has to stay home. Now it's like, no, like my daughter's, my daughter
family.
Nothing to do with any of this.
Just like, I know.
She's just, a kid trying to keep up with school and do her gymnastics and whatever else. And she's like, well, I guess it's
just going to be how it goes. Yeah. Well, and I think for our audience, we should probably just prepare you for a little while, for the foreseeable future, this will probably happen. We'll probably have us be doing remote shows, traveling shows. One of us here, one of us isn't. We'll be doing the musical chairs because it's going to just keep going. There's going to, I'm going to have a week where all of a sudden my youngest comes home and he's snotting all over the place. I'm going to go, all right, you guys, I'm sorry. It probably shouldn't be me coming in this week. So this is just going to be the routine. So Biofriendly Podcast core audience, roll with it. New audience, hang in there.
Hang in there. We'll be back. Yeah, no, I mean, we all thankfully
I'm dreading the day
feel fine.
that you're not here.
Yeah.
And we have to do a podcast.
And I got to have you set it up.
Yeah.
I guess it's time for me to train you how to set it all up, right? Elise is just sitting.
I'll just be sitting in my office, just working away, ignoring the whole thing. Like, Elise, are we ready?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Jacob never showed me what he does over here. Why one of the mic stands is being held up by a counterweight, and he's got a real specific system over here.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But it's an OG crew. It's the three of us again, and we're gonna have a little fun today. We're gonna have fun, guys.
I love fun.
You
Fun's
love
the
fun?
best. Yeah, fun's good.
All right. Well, we have many guests kind of on the horizon. I'm working with a lot of different people, so we'll probably have a ton of them coming up. But for now,
the list is cool for those
Yeah.
of you who are excited. We're not going to give them up or anything, but Jacob has a fun list of really interesting, rad people coming. So
I do.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Really
and then once you and I do some of we got some trips, we got some like mobile interviews coming up. We got some people we're going to be meeting in different cities. So it's going to be Biofriendly road trip here soon. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Fun.
Yeah, it is really good. We're really getting so much more embedded into the community. So like we're just getting lots of fun environmental contacts and opportunities to go do things, do remote things, meet more people, have cooler guests, have higher profile guests. It's been fun to watch this show grow and to become something bigger. But we're gonna try still, right, Jacob, to do these kind of, we call our OG original
the OG crew, absolutely.
goofball.
You guys need a road trip.
Yeah, we'll do road trips, we'll do guests, but we always got to come back home to the core, because I think that that people listen for me. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what everyone tells me. It's like I listen for Jacob.
No, actually, you know what? Before we start on the subject matter, I want to, we like to toot our own horn here for a little bit. Something cool happened today, and I want to share it with both of you. I let Noel know about it a couple weeks ago, but it's finally official as of this morning. So forever we have been using on Twitter at Biofriendly1. That's been our handle. And for the longest time, we were like, why can't we just have at Biofriendly? Why can't we have it? It was taken by somebody else and had been by an egg, by one of those profiles that doesn't have a picture, and it sat out there for 10 years, no tweets, nothing on it whatsoever. So I cannot tell you guys how many emails I have sent to the headquarters of Twitter. And I got to Mr. Twitter himself. No, I'm just kidding.
You spoke to Mr. Twitter?
Mr. Twitter, James T. Twitter. He finally, the button was pushed, and as of this morning, we are officially at Biofriendly on Twitter for our main account. Isn't that awesome? It finally happened. I switched it all over. I even went and got a Biofriendly one. I made a tweet on there that says like, hey, go over to Biofriendly now. So anyway, it's official. We have it. It's ours.
All right. So if you want to find us on Twitter, just go to @Biofriendly.
Yes.
And
that's how you find us.
Yep.
And if you want to find us on Instagram, Biofriendly Planet.
That's right. That's right.
So it's
and we
basically
have
Biofriendly Planet everywhere except for Twitter, where there's not enough characters and we're just Biofriendly.
Yeah, we didn't have enough characters, so we have Biofriendly, which is our main core, which you're going to see like podcast clips, articles, and memes and stuff like that. And then we also have our wonderful Tara, who manages Biofriendly Blog, right? That's her Twitter handle, isn't it? Just
that's her.
Biofriendly?
Yeah, that's her personal handle.
Biofriendly Blog, and she also posts amazing stuff. So you should follow both. I'm just saying.
Well, you have to follow. Yeah, Tara's got the. Yeah, well, Tara's a genius.
She's a G. Yeah,
absolutely. She's a genius. She knows so much about everything we talk about, everything that we try to sort of, impart to people. Yeah. Like we know about 12% of what Tara has in her pinky of what she understands about how to be green and how to do it the easy way. Yeah. She's rad. Yeah. So follow her. She's a good follow.
Yeah.
Biofriendly Blog.
I'm glad you said 12% because that's a good segue into what our subject is today.
Well, what's our subject?
We're going to be talking about, 1%, 2%, skim, whole, milk, all the milk.
12% fat milk?
12% fat milk. 100% fat milk. Half and half is basically 50-50, right? Half and half is like
50% cream, I think, right? Yeah. And then 50% milk.
I think so. That's what I put in my coffee. But so I went back when this idea came to me. There's two reasons why we're doing milk today. Okay, one is a hilarious reason. Two is I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, well we've talked about ice cream in the past, and I went back and listened to some of our episodes. By the way, we're great. We're great. I'm not going to lie. I went back and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I went back to the ice cream episode. I went back to the cows episode. I was like, we've really done some great stuff, and we're awesome. So I was very
always
proud.
Decently engaging?
Yes, we're always decently engaging. We're always going on tangents that are hilarious, and it's just a good time. But I realized that while I came up, I was like, okay, let's cover milk. We haven't really talked in detail about. There's a lot of alternates to milk, right? Milk is kind of like the staple that we've grown up with, but it gets a lot of bad press, and for good reason, because it is a challenge for the environment. But now there are dozens of alternate milks, and living in a place like Los Angeles, we've heard them all.
Yeah.
At least I think so.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why we're covering milk today.
Okay. All right. So there might be a couple bummer runs in this, but we've got some fun too. Yeah.
But should I start off with the hilarious thing that's happening online in social media that I just saw this morning, and I want to know if you guys have heard about it yet. It's called the Milk Crate Challenge. Have you seen these?
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. Noel, one thing is certain, and that is that humankind is determined to take ourselves out of the equation. We're determined to hurt ourselves in the worst way possible. If you watch
what
this...
What are people doing? Are they stacking milk crates to make a pyramid? Is that
yes, and then they try to walk up them, and it ends in the most painful videos. So children listening to this podcast...
Life-threatening injuries, including broken bones and spinal cord damage.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So children, don't do this. But right now, all over the internet is a thing called the Milk Crate Challenge, and people are stacking milk crates into a pyramid and walking up one side, and the victor is, who can get to the top. I have not seen one person
get down.
Oh, get back down?
Yeah.
So
they walk up one side.
They walk up and then they come down the other. So I have not seen one person make it, and all of the videos look awful. Look like terrible pain.
Look, you've got to do a better job with structural integrity. Some of these things are just preposterous.
I don't know, Noel.
These are sad. These are like, are you seriously thinking like a single row of milk crates? Of course it's going to fall. I can't support you. This is ridiculous.
I think it has to be a single row. I don't think they're allowed to add anything to it. It's kind of like the Pinewood Derby and Scouts.
Well, then they want to die.
That's my point. So anyway,
this is obscene. But our children have been eating Tide Pods. So
yes,
I mean,
exactly. Tide Pods. Now we're. I mean, there's these challenges on the internet, eating ghost peppers and all sorts of terrible things.
It is proof, Jacob, that the generation of parents that we're at the tail end of are arguably the worst in history.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to go ahead and put that out there.
You're going to put it out there? Okay.
I'm going to put it out there. Because you look at some of the choices that our kids are making these days.
Yeah.
Although
those parents?
You know what? Your father-in-law told me a story about them sneaking under like one of those spinning park things where he almost got his legs torn off in half and nobody knew he was there.
I think kids have always been dumb.
Maybe parents have always been bad at it and kids have always been insane. Maybe that's just how it goes.
I think it always goes that way. Because if you think about it, so there was a very popular television show on when we were growing up called Jackass, and that was the name of the show. Mm-hmm. And did you see the trailer for the new movie that's coming out? No, but it's coming back, right? They're coming back.
It looks hilarious.
It will be hilarious. Yeah. There will always be people that are willing to break their bones for jokes, and these are those guys.
Americans.
And And this milk crate challenge is no different. You got people that go, you know what? If somebody videos me and I go down in a blaze of glory, I'm gonna be internet famous, right? That's probably
there's a difference between Johnny Knoxville and his buddies who are professional idiots, right?
Right.
They're dedicated. Stunt morons.
Yeah, stunt morons.
And they do this. They make a lot of money doing it. They are like, it's their joke, it's their thing, whatever. Like they're kind of professionals at hurting themselves, right?
Yeah.
The problem with the milk crate challenge is someone's like, I got an idea. I'm going to do the milk crate challenge. We put a bunch of milk crates in the pyramid. You can walk up top and go back down the bottom. It's going to be great. And then everybody else sees that and goes, oh, I accept this challenge. I am now going to walk up and down the milk crates. This is a fantastic idea. I know. And they're all morons. They're all regular, everyday morons, not professional morons. Yes. You got to be like a regular moron doesn't have the.
There's a fine line between an amateur moron and a professional moron. So leave it to the professional morons.
Leave it to professional morons. That's
like us. Like us, right?
Yes.
We're professional morons.
You could absolutely walk up and down.
Not you, Elise. I'm just you're not a professional moron. Noel and I are. Right. But anyway, okay, so I had to open with a milk crate challenge just because I know it has nothing to do with the environment, but it was just so funny that we're talking about milk today, and all over the internet, that's all anybody's talking about is milk crate.
I'm realizing my son would kill me, by the way. It's not a pyramid. It's a triangle.
Oh, yeah, really. Yeah. It's true.
It's not a pyramid. It's three-dimensional. It's in all directions.
Right.
Right. That's different.
Right.
I just wanted to specify because my kid will probably listen to this later and go, Dad, that's not a pyramid, that's a triangle.
He's probably listening right now, and he got even more sick having heard you say it's a pyramid. He was on his way to recovery.
If I didn't have COVID before, I do now.
I do now. From what you said, Dad. No, we're going to talk about milk, and we're going to start, yes, it's going to be a little bit of a bummer run, okay? Because one thing that we do on the show, of course, is, look, you drink your milk, you like your milk, that's okay. But it's worth noting that the dairy industry as a whole is a real addition to the greenhouse gas problem. It really is. It's one of the ones that contributes a fair amount, right? That's pretty well known.
It does. But you know what's funny? Okay, it does. Yeah. But I'm actually less concerned. I mean, I am concerned about that, about what they contribute to the environment. But I feel like there are ways to offset that. And if you figured that the value of the nutrition of the milk is something that you'd have to do a cost benefit analysis on, maybe you could find a way to have those offsets be worth it. My biggest concern with that is actually because we like to go kind of beyond the greenhouse gas thing here. My biggest concern with the dairy industry has really been more the treatment of the animals. Yeah. Because it's not terrific. Like the cows aren't meant to make milk for humans. They're meant to make milk for calves, right? So they have these calves, and then the calves get to feed on their mom for like half a second, and then they're pulled away, and then they're like essentially taken from their mom, and then the mom becomes a milk cow for the rest of the time, and the calves are fed by hand. Yeah. So like you're kind of separating the natural order of things, and you've got these crying calves that are going to grow up and eventually have their if they're males, they'll get their balls cut off and their horns seared, and if they're female, then they'll just grow up to get eaten. Yeah. And that's we need to again cost benefit analysis. We got to figure out how much of this is worth it, how much of it is, but it is a bit cruel. Yeah. And probably it would serve us to cut back. It would be my point on that. Not that people love their burgers, people love their milk, and there is definitely high nutrition value to that. And that's it is what it is. We're at the top of the food chain. We're going to eat things. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah. So I get that, but I think that if we could as a general rule try to cut back a little bit on the amount of milk that we drink and the amount of meat that we eat. And find some other alternatives. It would be better for the environment. It would mean we need less cows, which means that you could have the cows be treated more humanely, more like they should be treated. That's my
You're
thing
right.
on that.
You're right.
But but again, look, it's a Biofriendly podcast. We're trying to be friendly about it. I know you're going to do what you're going to do. You're going to eat your burgers, but try having just cut back. See if you can cut back 25%. That would help. And then if you're happy cutting back 25%, try to cut back 50%. Yeah. And then just kind of cut it down so that you're not just having as much. Because the less we have, the less financial value it has for the farmers to continue to do that. And then that means there'd be less of it. And if there was less of it, they could treat them better because they wouldn't need to stack so many cows into such a small area.
Yeah. So, you made a really good point, which is interesting because, obviously we're so much more educated now thanks to as problematic as the internet can be with milk crate challenges. It can be very helpful because we can learn a lot. We can get a lot of information. We have access to information. Growing up as a kid in the 1980s and 1990s, it's not like you were aware of, you kind of have this understanding that milk from cows, you think, cows just always have milk, and that's how we get it. And then it's not until you dig in a little bit deeper, and you made a good point, which is like, oh, no, that's just like with women and babies. It's a very specific thing that we are taking away from that process, and it's not like they just literally start making milk, and then they do it naturally, and they're like, I don't know what to do with all this milk. You know what I mean?
It's as if we had a class of women whose purpose was to make milk for everybody, as opposed to just milk for their baby. And so then the babies are there long enough to get the milk started. And then they never see their babies again.
Yeah,
and the rest of the time they're hooked up to machines that just milk the women.
Yeah.
That wouldn't go very well, would it?
That wouldn't go over very well. People would
society.
feel very bad for the moms that that's their life and that's their job, and they'd say that
exactly.
So and another unfortunate thing. Again, we're bummer running, but then we're going to get on. We're going to get on to some good stuff about the alternate milks, but. The farms in the United States, dairy farms, have actually, there are way less of them, but there's more cows. So there's more demand. So over the past decade or so, the farmers, a lot of farms have closed, but the demand has gone up. And so now these places are overcrowded and packed, and they've got to have way more coming and being pushed out. So it puts a larger demand. So step one you can do, if you just made the decision, I drink cow's milk and I'm never giving it up. Well, the least you can do is look on the container of what you're buying and see if the company that's making this milk is making it in a sustainable way, if they're taking good care of the cows, if they have a nice farm that does everything they can to make their lives comfortable. That's the bare minimum that we ask you look into.
Sure.
Right?
Is it certified organic?
Is it certified organic? Yeah. Is it? Yeah. Look into it.
Right? I think, look, it's not like it's not like it's the best for you either.
Right.
In the end, I mean, there's definitely some value to it, and people talk a lot about calcium and vitamin D, but they put the vitamin D in it. It's fortified; it doesn't naturally show up there, really. It's the calcium is great, but you can get vitamin D from other sources. Go outside, walk around, be in the sun,
be in the sunlight,
and or not just take supplements. They're everywhere. It's the easiest one to take. They're tiny pills. They're itty bitty. So that's the way you get your vitamin D. And with calcium, I mean, look, has anyone ever even tried a green smoothie?
I have. Yeah. I like them.
People add fruit to them and stuff. You don't even know they're green. They taste great.
They're great.
Amazing.
And they're loaded with spinach and kale. Tons of calcium in that. Plenty. Yeah. So there's other ways to get it. Is my point.
My biggest challenge. Yeah, my biggest challenge is honestly, it's little things. It's not that I like to have milk every single day. It's just like creamer in coffee. That's something I've grown accustomed to. And whenever you try to replace it with something else, it just isn't the same. But that's something I need to look at and just look at alternatives.
But how much creamer do you put in your coffee?
It's not a lot.
Like,
I mean,
an
we're
ounce
talking
at most?
two tablespoons, 3 tablespoons worth of cream in a cup of coffee. And I do that once a day. So we're talking, you add up over the course of a week, we're talking like 4 ounces, 6 ounces worth of creamer maybe a week.
It's not a lot. Like there's a difference between it's the demand. It's the demand, right?
Yeah.
McDonald's needs a heck of a lot of beef to keep making that many hamburgers. They require it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where you're filling up these farms. That's where the issue kind of comes. It's because we have this demand for so much of it.
Yeah.
So it's just find a way to just do less. That's all.
Yeah,
have less.
Dial it back just a little bit.
Like you could still have that if you want to have a nice juicy steak every week, and because you have a habit of having your juicy steak every Saturday night or whatever, and you always do that. Great. Let's see if you can do either a smaller steak. That's one option, or do it once every other week.
Yeah.
Do it twice a month.
Yeah.
Instead of, or take off do it 3 times a month.
Your body's going to probably thank you for it anyway, right?
I just, and if you're having a hamburger every day for lunch and that's just what you're doing, well, look, let's see, try to just one day to start with.
Yeah.
Just do something else. Do something, anything else. Just do something else.
Yeah.
I agree. That's all we're saying. Like just cut it back a little bit. If we all cut it back a little bit and then just kind of get used to not having it as much and cut it down, then there's enough room on the farms to have a nice, happy life for the cows.
Yeah. Well, so are you a milk drinker? Do you like milk? No. So this isn't even a problem for you, right? No. It's not even an issue. Well, when I went back and I played our previous episode of ice cream, we talked a little bit about milk, and I have to do a official Biofriendly Podcast redact. I have to redact a statement that I made because on that episode, which was 2 years ago, by the way. So
Did you
only
say redact?
Redact.
Okay. I was like, when you said red act, I was like, I didn't know we had something called the red act.
Red act.
I meant,
what is a red act?
I meant redact,
right?
But what I did in that moment was what I like to call Christopher Walkening. And it's where I go, redact. I'm going to need to redact that from the podcast. Listen up, okay? I'm going to take the wrong syllable to emphasize and emphasize it in a way. So anyway, it came out the wrong way.
You're
and I was like,
in the audience.
And the thing is when it came out of my mouth the wrong way, I thought, hopefully they won't call it out. But then I was like, oh no, of course they will.
Noel's on my show.
Redacted from a previous podcast, the ice cream one. I'm playing it out loud in my home. My wife's sitting over there. It's this episode where we're talking about milk in the home, and I'm saying, well, my boys drink almond milk. Like they, and basically Noel on that show goes like, have your boys ever had cow's milk? And I was like, I don't think so. And she was like, that's not true. She shouted from across the room. She was like, look, do I not buy it for them? Yes, because their bodies kind of react, I guess, kind of weird to the cow's milk. They have obviously
a lot of people do.
Yeah, and so
it's not great for us. It's not really ideal for our bodies.
Yeah, so she's gotten almond milk for the longest time, and she said they've had it. They've been at other people's houses or been somewhere else, or we've had to use it for this, had to use it for that. But she's like, I honestly made that decision because it just was better on their bodies. And it's like, when we do go get ice cream, we choose frozen yogurt because they don't get sick after they have frozen yogurt. They get sick after they have ice cream. They do.
You can keep almond milk longer.
You can keep it longer. Mm-hmm. But here's what's interesting today is there's
I'm gonna really bummer run almond milk.
No, I was gonna say, here's the thing: is that I need to tell this to Jamie too. Is that almond milk is in hot water right now? Hold on, the thing I popped our sound thing. One second. Vamping. Almond is in trouble.
Oh, stop vamping?
Yeah, stop vamping. Almond is in trouble, and that's what you're about to say, right?
Almond has been in trouble for a couple of reasons for a while.
Yeah.
But it's people. There's significant downsides to almond, but it's because again it's the same. Go ahead, you go. You start. I'll go later.
So anyway, we've gotten almond milk for a while, and it's not that all these articles. When I spent time researching, it was like, look, if you're already choosing something that is different than dairy, you're probably helping in some way. But almond, they were saying, and this article from The Guardian says, almonds are out, dairy's a disaster, so what milk should we drink? It went on to say almond milk requires so much water. So much water. And this was interesting too. They have to recruit bees in order to do almond milk. And so it's so funny because the way they explain it, it's like bees. So like nearly 70% of commercial bees in the U.S. are drafted, which I think is so funny. Is like the idea is like they're drafted like amongst the bees.
They want to live their life, but they got to do service for the country.
Right. Like cut to the small bee cartoon where it's like, listen, baby, I know we were going to get married, but I've been drafted to the almonds.
Where they're saying bye before he gets on the bus.
Get on the bus. He's got to go make almond milk. I promise I'll come back. He died in the almond wars. So, but anyway, and this is what's tragic. Last year, a record number, over 1/3 of them died by season's end as a result of the pressures and environment. So of making the almond milk. So it drafts the bees, it kills the bees, and it takes a ton of water to make it. So that was the bummer run on that for sure.
So it's like almonds in particular. It kind of opens up a larger discussion point if you want to dig into it.
I do.
You do? Okay.
It's a podcast, man. Let's go.
Okay. So we all know Jerry Brown, right? Everybody knows Jerry Brown, governor of California.
I have no idea who that is.
Okay. He was one of the longest. He served 2 terms. He served 2 different terms as the 2 separate sets of terms as our governor in California. His dad is a guy named Pat Brown.
Okay.
And Pat Brown. So Pat Brown did one of the more impressive feats of engineering in history. He created an aqueduct that runs from the Sierra Nevadas at the northern part of California all the way down through all of our farmland, down the coast, across the line of the Sierra Nevadas, all the way down to Southern California, basically. And the reason that you can have so many people in Los Angeles and in San Bernardino Valley and in all that area, because we don't have enough water to support the amount of people who are here. But the reason we're pulling that off is because we take water where there's tons of it in Northern California and we send it on down.
Right.
So that's one of the things that has been a big complaint of people in Northern California. And one of the reasons that in Northern California there are huge, there's a lot of people up there who would like to separate and make their own state called Jefferson, because they don't want to keep having to give what their resources down to people in Southern California. They're sick of us. They hate us.
Really? And they've gone with the name Jefferson?
That's selfish.
Well, I think the idea being like you got Washington State is up there, and so
I get it.
Nobody wants to call their state Adams for some reason, which I think is unfair. But
yeah. It's not
Jefferson
fair.
doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't. Mm-mm. It doesn't.
I'm sure if it was around long enough, we get used to it.
How about Fillmore? Millard Fillmore.
Millard flipping Fillmore. I think Grover Cleveland, while we're talking about
Grover Cleveland. Call the state Grover.
Non-consecutive terms in office.
Yeah. Anyway, go on.
So, anyways, he created this aqueduct as a way to provide more water for the whole state. It didn't just provide water to Los Angeles, essentially. It also provided water to the Central Valley, which is a place that we've talked about this on the show before. The Central Valley has massive storms every so often that flood it to an unbelievable extent. Sometimes every 200 years or so, to the point where it's a lake for a while, right?
Yeah.
Like a giant lake. And then it goes down into the aquifers kind of below all the land down there, and then it can be droughty and not have so much water. It doesn't get quite as much as you get kind of up in the mountains.
Yeah.
So it's really rich soil, really great land, but not necessarily filled with enough water to do the job to be great farming area. Okay, they call it the Central Valley of California.
Right.
Well, this innovation, this job that Pat Brown did, Jerry Brown's dad. He actually made it so that you could grow enough food in Central California to feed the world, like the whole world. There's enough. Yeah. You can make enough food there. It's unbelievably fertile land, tons of sunshine. When you put water on it, you can grow anything. I could almost literally say you can grow anything because it's that good. Okay, that obviously it was a huge boon financially for California. It was a great thing for the landowners and the farmers who lived in that area in California, and was kind of a great thing for the state. The only problem is when you take all the water out from there, you don't have the water to store elsewhere or use elsewhere. It's being used on the farmland. So they thought, okay, in order to kind of make sure that things are going to be okay and we don't waste all the water for when there's drought time, let's make a rule. Let's make an amendment. They call it the Monterey Amendment, where you can store that water underground in empty aquifers, particularly in Kern County, which is kind of where Bakersfield is, that sort of area there. Mm-hmm. There was these sort of empty or not totally full aquifers of just basically you can put the water underground. So you send the water down there, you soak it, it goes down to the ground, makes the ground lift up a little higher. Now you've got water there, and if we ever need it, you can pump it out of that during a drought and send it down to Los Angeles or to the farms or whatever, and we've got a backup. We've got a huge backup for all of this water for the good times to help us for the bad times. Really great idea, cool concept, would totally have worked if not for the fact that people suck. It's rule number one of my life. So that land, this land that was essentially being pumped full of our state's water, was bought up by the largest farming owning family in America, the Resnicks. Okay. They bought it up, and they, that's where I think they do the Halo oranges, and then I think Wonderful is the name of their company, Wonderful Almonds, Wonderful. But they make
huge. I've driven past the Halo oranges. You can drive when you're driving up that way. I think I've seen the Halo. They have a giant orange basket that you can see from the freeway.
That's them. That's them.
Yeah, I know exactly where that is.
So huge farming family. They bought it up. I think when they kind of knew this was coming in the 90s, and then owned all the land that had basically this water that's being pumped into it.
Yeah.
So instead of saving it for when we needed it for a bad day, they used it to grow food. So they just used their own, because there was no law in California at the time for how much water you could pump out of these seemingly endless aquifers, right?
Yeah.
So one thing they made a lot of, and not just them, a lot of farmers in California decided, well, since we have all this water and it's sitting in here and it keeps coming, we should make almonds. Because people love almonds, and almonds are, they're hard to grow in lots of places. Like you can only get them in like Southeast Asia. They're just difficult to make. So we can make them here, and then we can have almonds everywhere. And then they made a ton of almonds, and they started using up all of the water that was in all of these aquifers.
Really?
Well, now, many years later, we eventually caught up and realized, oh my God, this Monterey Amendment has been a disaster.
Yeah.
So we made a new amendment to to limit the amount of water that could be taken out of the ground, right? So that these farmers wouldn't take more than what was agreed upon by the state, that they couldn't govern the resources that belong to the state personally, because that's essentially what happened. So they did that, but then they let that rule, in order to give time to implement, go on for it's not going to be fully implemented for another 20 years or something like that. So by the time it's fully implemented, the water from the aquifers will probably be gone.
Yeah.
And it's already really low. And you're seeing the results of that because we're having to draw water, too much water from the Colorado River. We're having to draw too much water from our aqueduct. We're having to draw too much water from everything. And all of the water is now coming down because there's not enough, because we've been overusing it for things very specifically like almonds. So people kind of think, well, there's not enough water, and and that's true. There hasn't been as much water, but we should have been prepared for this. We had it set up so that this wouldn't have been a problem, and we wouldn't be drawing too much water from other places, and we would have been fine. But because people suck, rule number one, that's not how it is. And so now we're under crazy restrictions. We don't have enough water. And by the way, in another 50 years or so, Central Valley is going to have another one of these megastorms. And we're going to blame it on climate change, and it won't be because of climate change. It'll be because that's what happens.
Yeah.
But in between now and 50 years from now, there's going to be a megastorm that hits that fills that valley with water that will then fill up all those aquifers. But everything everything in there will die or have to move because it'll be that much water.
Well.
So there you go, folks.
There you go.
That's your bummer end.
And for the audience, just so you know, the stance of people suck, that is Noel's personal viewpoint. That is not the official stance of the Biofriendly Podcast. We are a show that believes that people are good and are going to make a difference. But Noel, our guest today, his views and insight into humankind as sucking is his personal viewpoint. So please, if you want to write hate mail, write that guy right there.
Let me explain it.
Noel at IHatePeople.com.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain yourself. It's fine.
I will.
It's a joke.
I think it's important because each individual person does not suck.
Yeah.
Each individual person is pretty great. There's something wonderful about everyone, and each individual person has the ability to make a change, a difference, and even in groups of people to make a change and to make a difference. I choose to take the general point of view that people are going to suck, because that prepares me for them to do what they inevitably do.
Yeah.
Which is suck. And then when that happens, I can stay upbeat, I can stay happy, and I can keep trucking away at, okay, well, let's fix this, let's handle that, because each person doesn't suck. It's just the general mode of people suck. And then that keeps me into a really positive frame of mind so that I can then move forward and keep at it, keep doing good things, and keep making a difference. And also adjust and plan and not be angry for the fact that people are going to do things that they really shouldn't have done.
Yeah, you can't go on the road. Here's an analogy for you. You can't get behind the wheel of a car and go on the freeway and assume that everybody's a great driver. You can't do that.
No,
you have to get in the car.
Suck.
Yeah. Well, but to your the analogy here is you kind of have to assume that everybody is going to make a bad choice or a wrong choice, and because that's the only way you can survive. You have to be a defense. You have to be a defensive driver, in that you have to always be looking around, and so that's how you have to navigate humanity's waters. You have to be like, I need to kind of assume that not everybody knows what they're doing, and some decisions are going to be made out here that could negatively affect me or hurt me. So I got to always be ready to dodge them, right?
The great thing about that attitude is that the moment that people are great, which does happen, by the way, when people are great and they pull through, it's a nice, pleasant surprise. It's
really
wonderful.
Is.
Like when you're on the road and everybody's kind of in harmony and you're all cruising along and it's all great, it's like, oh, this is relaxing. This is nice, right?
Yeah.
So
Life is positive if you're always kind of sad. That's been my rule. Just stay sad, and then great things happen. You're like, this is amazing.
Are you talking about the Incredible Sulk?
The Incredible Sulk. That's me. My secret is I'm always sad. All right, we're going to get back to the alternative milks. But that is interesting. It is interesting to talk about everything, to how you broke down the aquifer and what we've done with almonds. So if you like, now again, official Biofriendly Podcast policy, if you like almond milk, it's okay. We're not talking about these individual choices that, you're not going to make or break the system because you like to have a little bit of almond milk with your food. It's something that we can't go, all right, that's it. No more dairy, no more other kind of milks. We're only going almond. That's a bad idea. Let's not do that because it's killing the bees. It's wasting the water. We got to come up with something else. Just like with energy, probably the best thing here is a diverse milk grid. Right? We got to maybe look at some
diverse milk. I love it.
You like it, right?
We're going to have a sustainable milk situation.
We got to have a sustainable milk situation.
And that band is playing on Friday at the El Rey. The sustainable milk situation.
Sustainable milk situation. I thought you were going to say diverse milk grid. I like either of them.
Well, diverse milk grid's opening for them.
Oh yeah, they're opening for them. It's a milk themed night. Yeah. So anyway, this article is all about the problems with most of them. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you guys some of the things that I want to say before we get into, a hot button topic is soy milk. Ooh, Why do you think? Why do you think it's a hot button topic? What's your guess? I know Noel probably knows this. Maybe you know too.
Well, soy is also pretty water intensive, but soy, I don't know. I have an idea, but what are you going to say?
Because of men. So many years ago.
Because of what it does to our testosterone.
Yes, but it doesn't really do this thing. Apparently 10, 15 years ago, there was this case of this guy in Asia who was drinking 3 quarts of soy milk a day, and he developed breasts, and he got, whatever. So this article came out. It was soy milk introduces estrogen to men's bodies, and it feminizes them, and it does all this stuff. And that caused a ton of misinformation to hit the internet. And when you go out there are countless people going no. Soy is not going to impact your male hormones and ruin your testosterone if you are having a little bit of soy in your diet. If you were to literally wake up from sunrise to sunset and only eat soy and only drink soy, eventually your body be like, hey, what's going on here? That's really the balance that we're talking about. So that's
I was going to say that it's just that it's become so popular as an alternative option for protein that they put it in so many things that it's not. It's not like it's one of those things that people say is really, really good for you. Have a lot of it, kind of like milk, but it's not really that great. Yeah. It's not as great as people are making it sound. Yeah. And we make too much of it. Anytime we make too much of anything, and really that's kind of could be the lesson of today's show. It's you can't have too much of something. It draws too much. It's like we live in a world that's based on balance. Yeah. Yin and yang, man. Yeah. We gotta have some balance in what we're doing, and you gotta balance in what we're eating, and we can't be addicted to one type of thing. And there is a pretty heavy addiction to soy here and abroad. So it's just we make too much of it.
Yeah, exactly. So this is so if your concern is you're I can't have soy milk because I'm a man and it's gonna take away my manliness. You do not need to be worried about that at all, because even a slang, as we've heard from the young people now, you call a guy a soy boy, and that means that they're kind of weak. They have a man bun and they can't stand up for themselves. So soy has even become a insult now. Isn't that crazy?
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, soy boy. Call it if you see a guy and he looks like he doesn't stand up for himself, the nickname is soy boy. So that's not fair, because soy isn't bad for you. It's in a lot of foods that you probably don't even know that it's in. But the point being, so I'm saying if you want to have soy milk, again, it's about balance. It's not necessarily something that's going to be that much better, because we do make a lot of it, right?
Right.
But we have some off-kilter milks here that I don't know if you guys have ever even heard of these before.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's go.
So before we go, obviously you know about coconut milk.
Yeah,
coconut milk is a big one. Yeah,
me either.
Yeah,
I don't like coconut water.
I don't like it either, and it's it's only grown in tropical environments. So obviously, this is a tricky one, because coconuts, this is when we're harvesting a lot of coconuts and coconut milk, this can really step into some of those environments, those wildlife habitats that we just don't need to be in any more than we already are. So again, that's not one that I think is a solution. Again, it's a small part of the puzzle.
It's more like a local thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
What was that?
I said that's more like a local thing they can have.
Yeah, absolutely. More
that's it, right? Like if you happen to be spending time in the tropics somewhere, like enjoy some coconuts. They're there.
Yeah, it's right there. You can go grab one.
It might even taste better.
It probably will.
Fresh.
Oh,
yeah,
100% does. Yeah.
Yeah. So hazelnut milk. Yeah. So this isn't the flavoring that you put in your coffee. This is a milk made of hazelnuts.
Yeah.
So hazelnut is a better option for the environment as the trees are cross-pollinated by wind, which carries airborne dry pollen between neighboring plants, not bees. So that's how they're pollinated. So that's already a step in the right direction. Hazelnuts also grow in areas with higher rainfall around the Black Sea, Southern Europe, and in North America, demanding much less water than almond trees. So that hazelnut milk is something that you might want to check out. I don't think there's as many options of it, but that's another one.
We can overdo that as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So, we can have a bit of that, but let's not go nuts on that either.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Then we have hemp milk.
I've had that.
You've had it before? Yeah. And I don't mean the kind that you need a card or need to have clearance in a state. I'm talking like, the good clean stuff. It's not going to have any, psychotropic effects on you at all,
I think that there's a really big misunderstanding about hemp because I think that
agreed.
When you got to separate hemp from the buds that and the reproductive process of hemp, right?
Yeah.
So like the hemp itself it's easy to grow. It's easy to get. Like it grows everywhere without even. It's a weed. Without even trying. It grows. It goes everywhere, right? Yeah. And its uses are pretty. Look, I'm not. I don't. I have friends who are big on hemp, big on cannabis, big on. And I'm not. I don't smoke it. I'm not into it. So I want to say that up front. This is just practically speaking. It used to be very commonly used in this country for everything, for paper, for clothing, for food, for everything.
For our sails on our ships.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a terrific material and it's easy to make and it's got a pretty low carbon footprint when you do so because of how just easy it is to grow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then kind of, logging and working with trees sort of made it unpopular. And I think there was some political efforts done to sort of poo-poo it. And then the fact that the buds from it can be psychotropic depending upon how much you have. And there can be side effects and whatever else. And I get that. But you don't have to smoke marijuana to enjoy the benefits of hemp.
Yeah.
That's my point.
And so hemp milk is a great, like a lot of these articles say that is really something that's untapped. And, once they really, I think that a lot of the flavor reviews of it have been like, it's not that great. Like it's not something you could pour in a bowl of cereal and you're like, this is delicious. So there's a lot of people that still need to work out the hemp milks to make it, whether they flavor it in a certain way, vanilla, whatnot. But that is what it could be.
Terrible.
Yeah, it may always be terrible. But
it's mainly for those people that, like you said, aren't marijuana smokers.
Yeah.
And need to feel like this pain reliever or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's another alternative that they take.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is disgusting.
Then there's rice milk. But again, rice has the same problem. It's water. It's a water hog. Mm-hmm. It is known to be a water hog.
And in places where you can grow a lot of it, you tend to need to ship it long distances, and it can get complicated. Although, as we found out, that's another thing in California they make a ton of here is rice. But again, we use a lot of water to do it. So
we use a lot of water, and again, diverse milk grid. Now I'm going to list off just rapid fire a few more because we are running along. Here's a couple more before I get to the one that is kind of declared the winner universally across the board. Here's some that you may not know existed. There is pistachio milk.
Yeah, sure.
I love pistachio.
Milk made from pistachio nuts is reported to have a rich and creamy taste as well as a light sweetness. Okay. Pecan milk. Pecans are said to be good for regulating cholesterol, so this nutty option could be good for your body as well as your taste buds. Okay.
I feel like there's a theme here. It seems like if there's a nut, you can make a milk out of it.
You can milk it. You can milk anything.
You can milk nuts.
It's like in Meet the Parents. Could you milk me, Greg? I have nipples. Could you milk me, Greg? Anyway, you can milk anything. Pea milk, and no, not pee as in pea, but peas. Surely not. Well, a brand new brand called Ripple is making waves in the U.S. with its dairy-free pea milk. So it contains 8 times the protein of almond milk and 50% more calcium than cow's milk. We really want to test this. So Ripple is the name of a brand that's coming out with pea milk. Okay. This one's, so tell me how I should pronounce this. CHUFA?
CHUFA? Chufa?
Yeah.
Chufa.
Chufa?
Shufa?
Yeah, maybe
Like,
Shufa.
Yeah.
Shufa. Sometimes
If you know
mistakenly
how it's pronounced, call in now.
call in now, please. Call Noel's phone. Sometimes mistakenly called a tiger nut, Shufa is a kind of tuber that's supposed to have a variety of health benefits. I've never even heard of this, making this unique milk suitable for those who suffer from nut allergies. So anyway, Shufa, never heard of it, right? And then the last one, before I read our winner is, there's two. Quinoa milk and sesame seed milk. Quinoa milk. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can make it from rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically any vegan knows that quinoa is packed with protein, but you can also whip up a tasty milk from this nutrition-packed grain-like seed. So yeah. Okay. But the front winner, before we end the podcast today, is oat.
Chufa.
Is that how you say it?
Chufa.
What is it? Is it a nut? It's probably it's some kind of. It says
an
it's
African plant, Saperius esculentus sativus, of the sedge family, having a tuberous edible root. So it's the root.
It's the root.
That you can eat. Yeah, it's the root of a plant that you can get in Africa.
So this is an option for people with nut allergies. So you want to have the milk, but you're allergic to nuts. So, but the winner across the board was oat. Oat is the front runner. That's the one that everybody's saying is kind of, if we were to find the best solution in terms of something that doesn't require a lot of water, it's not that taxing on the environment, it would be oat milk. And they made a huge splash at the Super Bowl because there was that Oatly Super Bowl commercial that ran in the middle of the whole thing. And everybody was talking about it after that. The sales for oat milk have gone through the roof. So that's one that people are saying that could be the one that we kind of lean on the most if we're trying to try to reduce our habit of cow's milk. Oat is a good place to start.
I think that's an option. I think the idea of a diverse milk grade is a good one, that you just have lots of these different things and try them out. I mean, oat milk could probably be great too. But then are we making too much? I'm really gonna keep harping on the idea that let's just have a little bit less. Let's try a lot more different things. Like if you want liquid, there's this stuff called water that's designed for us to drink.
But water gets boring, Noel. Water gets boring. I carbonate mine.
Then add a little bit of lemon.
Yeah. Well, I do. I carbonate. I get carbonated water. That's the only way I can survive drinking water.
Yeah.
Because I get sick of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what's sad about that is the carbonation actually taxes your system. So you use more water to process the carbonation from the carbonated water than you are getting from.
That's why I drink 3 of them. So I drink more.
Have you guys ever had buttermilk?
Buttermilk? Mm-hmm. It's just straight on buttermilk?
Yeah.
I think probably. I think so. When I was a kid.
Oh my gosh. My dad made us drink it.
Yeah.
Like one 4th of July. Oh my gosh, I can't talk.
Yeah.
1 4th of July, we had what was it? Fear Factor. So my dad made all the kids do Fear Factor. And one of the challenges was to drink a whole glass of buttermilk, and
that sounds delicious.
Everyone was throwing up.
Your dad sounds awesome.
It's probably good, but just so rich it makes you want to barf, right? Or no, it's not good. It's gross.
It was so amazing.
It was so good.
Was it good?
It was,
but just not good for you.
It was just, I don't know. It
just
tasted
thick.
sour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not what you'd expect. Because like when you hear buttermilk, you assume like you're going to be drinking pancakes.
Yeah.
That's what you assume.
I was
yeah.
like, oh
you're
my
like,
gosh.
buttermilk, count me in. But it's not.
It's definitely sour.
No buttermilk, guys.
Unless he had an expired one. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's part of the challenge. If you're going to do Fear Factor, it should be expired buttermilk.
Yeah. So before we wrap things up, there was a couple more articles I didn't get to, and I'll just do the footnotes of them. On the Green blogs, there was this article that came out in New York Magazine that was like, hey, good news. It even says this. It says hot girls in New York are ordering whole milk again. So yay. And that was the article. It was essentially this barista tweeted it out, and she was relieved because she was a barista at a coffee shop, and she was just grateful that she didn't have hot girls, that's what she said, coming in and going, I'll have a
soy latte.
I'll have a hemp coffee, whatever. She was just relieved that we were like returning back to basics. And then another blog on a green site was like, how dare you go backwards? We're making progress and people are getting off of whole milk. And I kind of rolled my eyes at both, and I thought, you know what? I feel like we just need to figure out a way that if you like a certain thing or if you want to help and you want to make a difference, just make those little micro decisions on your own.
Right.
And let's just see where we end up.
Because it can also be a taste preference too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess people are going to do what they're going to do. You can't, it's this mistake that environmentalists, like ourselves included, that we make, where you assume that, look, if we just say this, if we just tell people this thing, we give this people this information,
that they're just going to do
they're going to change. They're going to do it. They're going to get it because they're going to understand. It's like, well, they're not. They're not because you don't set up your life that way. You set up your life so that you can just survive and get through the day because you've got to get to work that morning by 8 a.m. and you've got to make sure that you get back in time to pick up your kids. And then you have to make sure your kids are fed with enough food that they can get themselves to sleep by a certain hour before they've done their homework and whatever. Your whole day is like filled with a bunch of garbage and a bunch of nonsense. And it goes day by day, one day at a time. And you're trying to survive through that day to make it to the weekend so that you can finally watch football. Or whatever your life is, right? Like that's
I don't want to watch football, Noel.
But that's my point, right? And so you set up your life so that you can survive it. And people are gonna keep doing that. They're not gonna stop doing that because you say this is harmful to cows or this is a problem for water. They aren't. Because they don't care about the big picture. They care about how am I gonna make it to Friday?
Yeah.
That's what they care about. How am I going to get through today? How am I going to get through this moment right now? And that's something you have to factor that in when you're trying to talk about these things. It's like as an environment where we're going to fix it by giving people the easiest possible option or by making the easiest adjustments that they can make so that they can change the daily habit. Because that's all you got to find a way to just make a little impact on the daily habit or we're not going to do anything. I firmly believe this. That's one of the reasons we started the podcast, Jacob. Right? I mean, it's because that's where it's at. So, like, if hot chicks are starting to order whole milk, fine, okay, fine. That's great. So let's see what we can do to get the hot chicks to cut back on the coffee like once a week. Or whatever, right?
Yeah,
that's my.
And I would say on the other shoe of that whole thing is that I would say that I am interested in reducing my consumption of cow's milk because I've learned more in 2.5 years. So this show has taught me. So it's not because it's pushing me. It's not telling me you have to stop. I'm just learning more. And so now my desire to buy something different comes from a very honest place. And so our hope is that you're going to do what you're going to do, but maybe if you learn a little bit more about how calves are treated and how cows are treated and the problem in the dairy industry, not sitting here to say, shame on you, enjoy your milk. But maybe you'll walk away after episode after episode and go, you know what? I kind of do want to help out, though. Like, I kind of want to make a difference. I kind of want to sip this tea or this coffee, or I want to have this cereal, and I don't want to cause any more problems. And so it comes from a very giving back place, not because somebody told you to do it and you're correcting,
Right.
I know we're running long on the podcast, but I think that that's important, that the decision rests on your shoulders, and the more you learn, the more I think you're gonna want to do a good thing.
Exactly. Right? You have to make it personal. You have to allow for someone to make a personal choice, right? So many people who I've talked to later who listen to the podcast, or random people who I talk to who've heard of the podcast, they'll talk about things like, I just decided not to use the straw, right? That's like one simple thing, stupid. I decided that I'm gonna eat in because I don't have to run that day. I'm gonna eat at the place. I'm gonna use the glass instead of using the plastic. But it's like these are decisions that maybe you don't make right away when you listen to a podcast or whatever. But over time, like you said, you think about it. You think about it for a second and go like, oh, you know what? I could probably stay here today. I could have the coffee here. Put it in a glass. Well, I could have my meal here. Let's go ahead and just put it on the plate so we can wash it. We don't have to dump away styrofoam. That's like. Those little things that you do, like those don't necessarily screw up your entire day if you time them right and you understand it. But the importance, and this is to your point that you just made, Jacob, is like if you have the data and nobody's telling you use this data in only this way. We're just saying, here's the data. Yeah. If you can apply it. If you can't, then that's okay. We're gonna talk about something next week. We're not going anywhere. We're 100 and some odd shows in. There's going to be thousands of these things. We'll be back. We'll be back.
There's more.
So
There's more. So that's it.
I totally agree.
Yeah. It was Noel and I, to put a end point on it, we were talking about exercising, and the only way you exercise is because you want to do something about it. You don't do it because somebody told you you need to get in shape. You realize one day, hey, I need to get in shape. It's the same thing with these decisions. It has to come from within, but we hope that we can be your beacon of light in a gloomy environment. See how I did that? Oh, I led us right into the closing of the show.
Am I a guest today or a host? I think I'm a guest.
Well, it's up to you.
So
do you want to?
No, I want to. So okay. Elise has got it. On the spot.
We are your sick.
No. Carefully avoiding
neonicotinoids.
Yes. Got it. We are the Siegfried and Roy of Meryl Streep of podcasts.
This show is a joke.
Yes. Never believe.
Spilling the tea.
Nope. Step one.
Step one, never believe.
No. Step one.
She can do spilling the teeth.
Oh, you chill out.
Okay.
Yeah,
she got it. Step one. And don't worry, he never remembers. He never. You kidding me? He never remembers.
So you know what? Here's the trick, though. You actually what you did was bad form, Jacob. If she does a different one, according to the long-lived rules of this podcast, if she takes spilling the teeth, you then have to figure out what the other one is that's missing.
You're right. I broke the bylaws of the Biofriendly.
You broke the bylaws of the Biofriendly.
I am so sorry. You're right.
She could have said spilling
Do we need to start over?
You know what? No, what we're going to do is I'm going to be done, and you guys are going to continue the show because this has been my last rodeo.
Jacob is retiring from
I'm retiring. That was it. I can't do it anymore.
A mistake of this magnitude is too much.
Carefully, not carefully. Spilling the teeth since 2019. And then the newest one is
technically imperfect.
It is actually technically imperfect. That's more true.
Technically imperfect.
Technically perfect.
Technically perfect. And then and that's it. That's it, guys. This was a long one. We went long, but I kind of liked it because we dug in some heavier, deeper topics. We talked about milk crate challenges. We talked about water being wasted. We talked about the history of Jim Brown, Pat Brown, and the stealing of the
Pat
water.
Brown was,
I don't know if we talked about Jim Brown, but I like we talked
about.
What was this? Yeah. Wait. Yeah, we talked Jim. Yeah, it wasn't Jim Brown.
Elise just nailed it. Jim Brown's a football player. Pat Brown was the former governor.
Pat Brown. But what was the other guys?
Jerry Brown is his son.
Jerry Brown. Mm-hmm. I don't know my.
I was only saying Jerry Brown to give reference because a lot more people now know Jerry Brown than his dad. His dad was a governor first. Jerry was a governor later, with Ronald Reagan in between.
Gotcha. I'm terrible about my California governors.
Me too. I don't know. Who's the governor now?
Newsom.
Oh.
Yeah,
we'll see how much longer.
You want to know who's? You want to know? Speaking of water, he's in a lot of hot water.
He's in a lot of hot water. He's in trouble. He's in trouble as a little. Like I think there's like we as you may have heard. I mean, Jacob and I are pretty plugged in to the we're members of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Our chairman is used to be the CEO and founder of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Jose Nino. So we get a lot of interesting data about that community. And in California, kind of the swing, the thing that swings it one way or another is the way that the Latinos vote. So like right now, like they're as of last polling, 51% are ready to recall the guy, and that's a problem for Newsom. And if that number goes up too much higher, he's in trouble. He's in trouble.
Yeah,
like legit trouble. Yeah. So we'll see.
Well, that's probably our longest tag we've ever had on the show. It's going to be impossible to remember that one next week. Impossible. All right, guys, let's head on out of here. So you and I say cheerio, and Noel says perfect in every way. Perfect in every way.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.